Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of the NLF Coaching Podcast. This is Coach Nate.
This is Coach Will.
Today we have a special guest. It is none other than JT Tanner, one of the personal trainers here at No Limits Fitness. JT, give us a little introduction and talk to us a little bit about what you do.
Thanks for having me on. It's going to be an awesome experience today. I am a personal trainer full-time at No Limits Fitness. That's my job. I transform and help people change their lives through fitness.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you've done career-wise and how you got into personal training.
Training's been a part of my life for a long time. I started in high school and really fell in love with it there. Didn't know it could be a career, but I got into personal training after 10 years of being a mechanic. I got kind of wore out and really just stressed over the job in mechanic world, and met Will at No Limits Fitness actually in the year of COVID. And walking through the gym one day, we just got to know everybody, and Will said, "You should try personal training." He said, "I think you'd be good at it." And never knew it could actually be a full-time career. Just thought it was something that, you kind of do it as a starter job or something like that, or along those lines. And I sat down and talked to Will about it, and we kind of discussed how it goes and numbers, and I dove head first, just quit my job as a full-time mechanic and went straight into full-time personal training and haven't looked back.
I love it. And you touch on a great point there is, I've heard it a million times, and Nate's heard it a million times, you have as well, is that when are you going to get a real job, right? People don't see personal training as a real job because they think we just stand there and count reps and just add a little bit of weight here and there. But
yeah,
we're really what bridges the gap between people being unhealthy and going straight to the doctors or whatever, right? We're a preventative measure for people. And people view personal training as a luxury, whereas I think it's a necessity. It holds people accountable, makes sure they're working on being healthy, fit, strong. And then that also, to me, it's a return on investment for people of the fact that they're more efficient in everything they do in life. They're better in their career. They're better at home with their spouse or their kids or whatever it is. And so I love the fact that you brought that up, because it can be a great career. But like anything, you get out what you put in, and if you don't view it as a career, then it definitely won't become one. You've got to treat it like a business,
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely one of those things you see hand in hand. Successful people also take care of their health. So I think the stuff that people are doing inside the gym sets a foundation for them to be successful outside of the gym and other aspects of life and business. And I'll attest to that. JT, so you also do natural bodybuilding, right?
Yes. Yep. Turned pro this year.
Let's awesome. Go.
Yes, sir.
So talk to us a little bit about that component of your fitness journey and kind of how you got started there and what that's looked like over the past few years. I know that's something that it's a big accomplishment, turning pro. So congratulations to you on that. But I'm sure I'm really excited to see or hear about how kind of you got started in the bodybuilding stuff and what that experience and journeys looked like for you over the past couple of years in your pursuit of turning pro.
Pro card kind of came along as, I started with you guys, and I was becoming a personal trainer, and I always leading by example is a really good way of leading at any point in time in any job. So I didn't know really the ins and outs of any personal training. I haven't ever been personal trained. So I hired Nate on as a personal trainer for me so I could be programmed, and I needed something to push me, right? I got into fitness, and in the first 10 years of fitness that I was in, I never was consistent because I didn't know really what I was doing. I was reading muscle magazines, and I was listening to YouTube, and all the bodybuilders, and everybody said something different. So I didn't really know where to go. I didn't know what was right and what was wrong. I just knew I need to lift heavy, and I need to try to get as big as I can. And it involved a lot of eating too. I mean, eating was part of my lifestyle, and I didn't know exactly anything about nutrition. So when I became a bodybuilder, I started doing the routines. I hired a coach. I followed macros. I started diving into the macro plans, and that gave me something to achieve, right? So becoming a pro was like it's not like my identity. It was a challenge for me to say, okay, this is going to be hard. And it's something not a lot of people can do. Not even, not a lot of people can complete even the prep. So I jumped into it and said, let's give it a shot. I like bodybuilding. I like seeing people on stage doing the bodybuilding. I love the fact that your physique says a lot about you just by having a physique. It's the one thing that people can't take away from you, and one thing you have to work really hard for. So that's where I started going, and it took 5 years, and it took a lot of time, a lot of hard work, a lot of training, a lot of consistency, a lot of no matter what's to get to that pro status. But achieving that was a big deal. Now it's on to competing with some of these big guys, and I'm excited. I'm excited. It kind of pushes me even more to say, okay, you ready to take this to the next level? You got to really work even harder into the next couple of years, and that's another goal of mine, working into those pro shows. And that's what bodybuilding is for me. It's not a status or a personality or anything like that. It's something that I can control and be a part of my lifestyle to keep me healthy, even though we know prep's not healthy in a sense. It's a short period of time of the bodybuilding, but bodybuilding in itself can build so much character in a person, and that's a lot of what I like about it. It really takes a lot more than just, I'm going to go lift weights for an hour and then I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a meal. It develops a person over time.
There's a couple of things you mentioned there that I want to pick up on. The first was one of our core values at No Limits Fitness is to be inspiring, because,
yes,
for someone to actually seek you out as a coach, as a trainer, you've got to be an inspiring person. Why would they work with you rather than work with someone else that maybe is doing something inspiring? I think it's, while they may not necessarily have the same goal as you, they can see that you're striving towards something. So I love the fact that you brought that up. Yeah. The second thing is, you talked about it taking 5 years. And I know we're going to have a lot of listeners that are looking at getting into bodybuilding. Maybe some people have been bodybuilding for a couple of years and they're losing motivation. They think, oh, I should have won a pro card already. And I think, it took me 4 shows, I believe, and I even changed categories to actually to go into the category that suited me better. So going from men's physique to bodybuilding. So, you've got people coming through that expect to win a pro card at their first show. And from a coaching standpoint, it's really hard to manage that with people and tell them, look, that's not the expectation or the standard. It's not saying that it doesn't happen, but the likelihood of you winning a pro card at your very first show, it doesn't happen very often. So I love the fact that you talk about it taking you 5 years to get there.
Yeah, I want to encourage even some of my clients that I prep, it's not what we're shooting for. It's definitely something that's in the headway, and that's the goal, but let's not have very high expectations, right? I mean, the biggest achievements was, you look at your transformation, look where you started and look where you are now. Look how much discipline that you've developed over time. Look how much just the body transformations, the mentality. Look how much stronger mentally you are. You handled a full bodybuilding prep, and you can mentally take that, and you come out of it and you can mentally take other things too, because it's not just developing a hardness in just prep, but the hardness outwardly expresses in other places too. So, and the pro card's not the end all be all. Like it's an achievement, but it's definitely not going to, for some, like you said, it will happen for some the first go around, but it's not the standard. It's not what I'm expecting from clients at all.
Yeah. So one thing I like that you said is the process and the habits you kind of learned along the way. And that's like, when people ask me, like, why do you put yourself through this bodybuilding stuff if it doesn't directly pay your bills or add a ton of value to your life? Well, my argument is it does add a ton of value to your life. Like, I look at the healthy things. Yeah, sure. There's things, I made a post about this the other day. There's things in content spread that can be unhealthy, of course, when you're dieting to that level of leanness. Sure, there's some bad habits, but I think some of the really good routine lifestyle habits you can pick up from bodybuilding are extremely beneficial to other areas of your life, physically, mentally. Just pushing yourself to a high level is something that I think is massively beneficial and has made a huge impact on my life. And that's why I love the sport of natural bodybuilding and why I love helping other people navigate the sport themselves. I think you guys could probably share some similar experiences there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we live in a society now that's so conditioned to comfort. You know, everything is about convenience, everything is about comfort, and it leads to a level of softness, if you like. You know, people don't want to be uncomfortable, they don't want to do hard things. And then we have to actively seek hard things to challenge ourselves, to go through the adversity, to grow as individuals. And prep is basically just a means to do that. Now, that doesn't mean anyone listening should just say, oh, I'm going to do something hard, I'm going to jump into prep, right? Like there's a whole process. You've got to actually have a passion for bodybuilding for that to be the thing. But if you do have a passion for bodybuilding, and I've seen other people say this, everybody at least once in their life should just try and get lean. It doesn't mean stage lean, but like get really, really lean and see what it takes to get there. The discipline, the mental fortitude, the sacrifices you have to make. And it doesn't mean you have to stay there, but use those lessons to take you into other areas of your life, right?
Yeah, it definitely teaches you a lot.
So with that being said, you know, JT, you're a family man. You have 4 kids, obviously a wife. What is it like for you prepping and managing family through that process? Because a lot of our listeners are probably going to have kids or one day they will have kids. So what advice could you give on how to manage a prep as a father that's very involved?
Oh man, communication was huge. Without the communication aspect, there would be more fights than there should be. It was every day. I still do it now. Every day I get off work, I get in my truck, and the first thing I do is call my wife. I put out feelers. It's what I do, and Jess knows this. She, you know, I call her. How was your day? How are the kids? Was it a crazy day? What's going on at home? Did somebody get in trouble? Is there something I need to handle? Is there anything that I can do before I get home that can help the day? You know, it's communication before I get home to know what I'm walking into. And I got 10 minutes of a drive to mentally prepare myself to be like, okay, I got this going on. I need to get home and get this done. I need to help her in this way. I mean, it's the first half of prep was always easy. You always feel great about it. But it's that second half where your mental starts taking a toll. Your energy starts dipping low. Your brain fog is really heavy. You get the brain fog and the prep brain that happens. All those things start coming into play. The first prep, you don't really know how to handle it because you don't know when it's coming in. But that second prep, you know, you can tell like, okay, it's starting to sneak in. I can start handling it better. And that was the biggest thing, was that communication. That's all I can really say is communication. But have routines set in place. Every time this is what happens, this is what I do, this is what the kids are doing, and just communicate. I mean, you just got to talk. If something's going bad, I'd even tell her like, hey, today's a good day. I'm having a good day. My energy's a little higher today. If I got more energy, I need to use it. I need to get home and use the energy that I got. But there was days where I'd come home, I'd call her and tell her like, hey, today's rough. My mental struggles, I can't get with it. My brain's running off track. I got really low energy, and we would be on the same page every time. So that's a huge one, is communication.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I think for me, when you get to that, like you said, the beginning of prep is pretty easy. You're like, I feel amazing. If you could bottle up the way you feel in the beginning of prep and just feel like that forever, you would do it. You know, you could sell that for millions, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, the last 8 to 10 weeks, you couldn't sell that. You couldn't even give it away, you know?
No.
So I would say to my wife too, you know, look, I'm starting to struggle now. I'm going to need some help. You know, and I think it's like, fortunately for me, and I believe so for both of you, we have wives that have seen us go through the process. They understand what it takes. And when that time comes around, they're more than willing to actually step in. And then, you know, as natural bodybuilders, our testosterone levels are dropping significantly through prep as well, which also means there is a significant drop in libido. So even communicating with that so that your spouse doesn't take it personally, right? That's another big thing to communicate. Look, it's not you, it's me. This is where I'm at. This is what's happening. So I think that's just like great actionable advice that people can take. And 100%, I think communication is everything. Great point.
Yeah, I think that's like an underrated aspect of the whole process is like the significance of support partner. Because like bodybuilding in itself, like the contest prep, it's a very selfish, isolating sport. So having somebody that understands where you're at least on like the mental side of things, they might not kind of know exactly what it feels like to be that lean and that tired, but it's like they understand like the grind of what you're doing, trying to operate your business, be a present spouse, parent, and also pour into this goal you have of getting on stage. It's a lot of things to juggle. So having somebody in your corner that gets it and that's understanding is like it's a blessing. It's underrated for sure. Like if you have somebody in your corner that's backing and supportive, it's a game changer for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a huge. I think probably my second word of advice is a lot of people are like, okay, they map out their prep without preparing anything else for prep, right? Because prep affects all aspects of your life. It doesn't just affect these like your body and your mind. It's selfish in a way, but it also affects everybody around you. So I like to like pre-prep everything for prep. What have I got going on in this month? How many things do I have between now and then? Is this a good time for us? If making sure relationships are in a really good spot. Relationships go through dips in preps. It's hard for the wife, and that's a big one for me. Also, is making sure like, hey, I want to go through a prep. Are you okay with that? Are we in a good spot? Are we prepared together to go through something like this? Because, like you said, you brought up a good point of like, they step up pretty heavy to the plate to take over some things towards the end of that prep where, I mean, we struggle to get out of the car to walk into the house some evenings that it's digging every ounce of energy out of our body just to do that. And that's huge for me, is to make sure she's ready for that, and the home and the kids, I want to make this as good of an experience for them, to make sure they're having fun as much as I am. And I asked them a lot of those questions, like, are you ready to see dad on stage? You want to see me do that again? And a lot of them, Noah and Allie, my oldest two, they said yes. And they were excited towards the end of prep to see that. So I feel like we handled prep really well to have the kids not have a negative attitude towards it where, oh man, dad's going through prep again, this is going to suck. I want to try to avoid that as much as possible also. So making sure everybody's on board and everybody's on the same page. Like, all right, JT's about to go through a prep. We know what's about to happen.
Yeah, I think that was like for me, like going down to your show in Tampa and like your whole family came down, your kids were like excited and engaged with the whole process and you made them feel a part of it. I thought that was like really, really cool. Because for me as a new dad, I have a 1-year-old, and it's like, and seeing you guys, how you've involved your kids in your bodybuilding has been really cool for me. It's something that I'm excited to share with my son as he gets older. He's just turned 15 months. So like, obviously we're not doing a whole lot yet, but he's come into the gym and hung out with me. I've lifted a couple of weekend workouts and things like that. It's exciting to be able to show like the disciplines and the structure of what I love about bodybuilding and teaching that to him. Like that's something that definitely excites me. So it's been cool to see you guys keep your kids involved and engaged in the sport of natural bodybuilding for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's just keep everyone involved, because it is a selfish endeavor, but everyone else has to do it with you, because if you're going through it, they're going to feel the ramifications. And I think you can still date your wife. You can still take your kids to the park, to the movies. It's not like you have to become a hermit that doesn't do anything. You just got to have systems in place where, I will go out to a restaurant if my wife wants to go out to eat, and I'll take my meal with me. And I'm happy to look like the weirdo in the restaurant that's eating my meal prep. It's kind of being willing to do those things, that they're still getting some of the experiences and the time with you that they need, and you're still meeting that, right? But I think it's also in natural bodybuilding, we often promote taking longer off seasons, and there's a few reasons. one of the reasons is that if your feedback is that you need to grow, that takes time. That cannot be accomplished in 3 to 6 months. You've also got the post show where it probably takes you anywhere from 4 to 6 months for your body actually get back to a like homeostasis, when your hormones are back to a solid point where you're then able to really push performance and actually in a growing phase. And then on top of that, if you've got a family, it's like, okay, I've done my prep. Now is dedicated time to them, right? I'm going to take some time away so that I can enjoy experiences with them. I'm not continuously in the cycle of prepping like every 6 months. And with that said, what does your off season look like? Because you won your pro card in December, so you're really pretty fresh out of prep. So what does the next year or so look like for you, JT?
We got some good plans this year. It's the main reason why we did the prep last year, because this year's a wedding year, several weddings coming up. I got a lot of plans going on there, but as far as the bodybuilding thing goes, it's like you said, it still feels right now where I have days where it feels like my hormones are still off. Like it's not fully recovered. It feels like it's really close. Sleep's kind of erratic. There's days where my mood's up, my mood's down. Everything's coming back to normal. But as we go, I'm looking at 2 to 3 years I know I won't be the 45-year-old bodybuilding competitor that I can be, because I got to wait till I'm 45. Like, I'm not going to look like I will then, like I will in 3 years. So I want to take at least 2 to 3 years to put on as much size as I can. And I want to do some comparisons, see how much I can put on in that amount of time span. And really just, I guess you're right in the sense of, it does take a while coming out of prep to get to that performance stage before you really start putting muscle on. And that's where I'm at right now, is I'm finally getting to where I'm push some weight and really get digging into the grind of the lift, and I'm motivated and I'm disciplined and everything's just checking boxes. And that's what I feel like. Probably 2 to 3 years of full growth, try to be competitive as much as possible, go through another prep and step on stage with the big guys and see what I can do. The end goal there is just to get on stage with some of these big boys.
Yeah. I think based on kind of like what Will said and going off of that a little bit too, it's like, I know for me, one of the biggest, like I would call this like a maturing as a bodybuilder thought processes over the past few years, going from where I was wanting to compete when I first started. I was like, oh, let me do a prep as soon as I get done with another prep, like kind of competing back to back and not really being focused on the long-term output. I think you have like this mindset shift as you progress into different seasons of life. Like when I started competing, I was a single guy, and then my wife and I started dating. So like those were pretty simple times. We weren't married, didn't have kids. So like bodybuilding could really be my main focus. But as like my life's changed, I've gotten married, I have a kid now. My career has kind of taken off a little bit more time demands there. It's like your mindset naturally shifts to where you value that time off in between contest preps, and like your identity is less wrapped up around you as a bodybuilder, more as like, how does this fit into my life, and when should I compete, and taking the time to make sure that it's the right time for you as an athlete, but also for your family, for your business. There's so many more things that I know I take into account now than versus 4 years ago when I was competing at 24, 25. As a 30-year-old man, I view bodybuilding from a much different lens than I did when I first got started.
Family's really important right now. That's a huge one. Family's really important right now. Like that's a big one right now for the next 2 or 3 years. It's just, 6 months doesn't seem like a long time, but in a prep where you're, 6 months is a solid amount of time to go through a prep, and it feels like a lifetime, and you finally get out and you just feel like you missed a lot, but you really didn't. I mean, it's 6 months out of the years, but you feel like you missed a lot. So feeling like you try to gain some of that time back with family and really trying to, that's another thing in prep, making sure you're not missing things just because you're in prep. Like prepare yourself, go through the struggle, hustle and grind, be there for your family no matter what. And that's a big one right now. It's like 2 to 3 years I get with my family, and I get to go enjoy and have more energy in doing the things that we do.
Yeah, and I think the key is in the name. You know, it's called bodybuilding, which means there has to be extended periods of time spent actually building the body. And I think people don't really look at timelines realistically, because let's just say you train every week, right? You never have a week off. So you got 52 sessions, 52 times of hitting that session that year, right? That's not a lot. You know, it's like you've done.
It's really not.
If you're doing a push-pull legs, okay, I've done 52 push sessions this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a lot. And especially when you've been training for a long time, you're now having to train super smart, super hard to make the smallest amount of progress, because obviously you're way past newbie gains. And that's something as well you see if someone was to take an in-body scan or a DEXA a couple months after show. They're like, oh, I've gained all this muscle. No, you've gained back what you lost.
Right.
That's the difference. You look a lot bigger, you look a lot fuller because you've got a lot more food in you. You've gained a lot of the weight back, but it doesn't mean that you've built a bunch of new muscle. You've gained a lot back. And then once you get all of that back, now you're getting into now we're building new tissue. And if we're at the phase now where we're lucky to gain 1 to 3 pounds a year.
Yeah.
Which sounds super unmotivating. But if you step on stage and you've gained 1 to 3 pounds, it's going to show.
It will.
And then even then, everyone thinks they're going to be 6 pounds heavier on stage. There's a good chance you're actually lighter on stage.
Right, because you get better at getting leaner.
Yeah, exactly. You just step on stage with a different body composition at the same weight. So you're leaner with a little bit bigger, and it's basically rinse repeat until your genetics are going to take you as far as your genetics are going to take you. And that's the conversation a lot of people don't want to have with bodybuilding, that it's a very genetically dominated sport. You know,
big time.
Your insertions, your structure, the way that you look. So you obviously won your pro card in bodybuilding. Did you ever have any ideas of competing in any other category, or was it always, I want to be a bodybuilder, this is where I want to be?
That's where I wanted to be. I didn't have any other thoughts of going anywhere else. The big thing for me personally is my structure fits bodybuilding. Like I couldn't go anywhere else. I don't have a small waist in any form or fashion. I'm blocky. I'm not very tall. I don't have that slender figure or anything like that. I'm just blocky. I'm just big everywhere. So I just fit the category better, and two, bodybuilding was what I liked more. I liked all the poses. I liked I really enjoyed the challenge. Like in the moment, in the prep, I'm like, okay, I'm not enjoying this anymore. But in the long term, the long run of things, I do enjoy it, because I look back, it's like, man, I did that. I killed it. Like I got leaner than I did last time. And I didn't give up on myself. I always pushed it. So bodybuilding was just that spot. It's the challenge and the physique, everything fits. So
I know you found that you've got a little bit leaner, easier every time you've prepped.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
every
like
time you prep, you get leaner.
It's like the first time getting that lean is most people don't actually get there the first time. It's almost like no matter how hard they push or whatever, it's like they're not going to get, unless they're that like genetic freak that just stays super lean around or whatever. And then every time you prep after that, it's like, oh, you notice some new lines come through a bit faster than they did before.
Yep. It's definitely every time you prep, that's what you see. It never fails. Like the first time prepping, it's going to be a struggle. You're going to grind hard. The calories going to get super low. You're going to have to get a lot of steps in. Like the next time you do it, you'll probably do the same thing, but you'll see all those lines come in so much quicker. And it doesn't get easier, right? It comes in quicker, and it gets farther past than where you did the first time.
Yeah, I think the skill of training and the skill of prepping are very, very similar. Like with training, it's a skill. Like you learn to push harder in the gym and execute movements better with repetition. It's very similar with like bodybuilding prep. You learn to manage the fatigue and the training intensity and the recovery components of a contest prep. Every time you compete, you get a little bit better at those skills all those things that are wrapped up into what it entails to compete and get stage lean. Like, you get better at all those individual things. So every time you do it, it's not that it's easier. I mean,
No,
it's always hard,
Well, it
but
sucks.
you just become better at those things and more resilient, right? It's like, it's a struggle, but it builds resiliency. And every time you go to do it again, it's like, you kind of know what to expect. Your body's kind of in the spot where it's, oh, I felt this before. And your management of all those stress factors just improves, I think, over the course of your bodybuilding career.
Yeah, and I think you learn as well that the basics always win. You know, when you get first-time competitors and they get refeeds and they're trying to make all these fancy pancakes and, you know, all this different tasty stuff, which is fine, but you've got to keep in mind what that's going to do to you in the long term. And then you're going to crave those foods, and it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. If you just stay on the basics and continue to execute, that's probably where you're going to end up by your second, third, fourth prep anyway. You're eventually going to listen to your coach because they've had the experience is telling you, look, these are the things you should be eating because these fill you up the most. They, you know, they might be bland, but you signed up for a bodybuilding show. It is what it is. You might as well just do the work rather than trying to work around it and make it as easy as you possibly can. It's just embrace the challenge and lean into it. You know, that's always what I say. It's like, lean into it. You signed up for a bodybuilding show. It's going to be tough. We've prepared you for everything you're going to feel, and now it's punching you in the mouth. What are you going to do? You know, are you going to dig in? Are you going to be proud of yourself when you step off stage because you gave it everything you got? Or will you step off stage with regret because you think back to those times when you slipped up, you know?
Yep, that's 100% true. I mean, you can't get any better than that. That's it. I think most people, I would say the major majority of people who do a bodybuilding prep, that's how they do it. They want to dodge the hunger. They want to dodge the cravings, and they're trying to work with them instead of just ignoring them. And it is hard. Like, you're going to have those cravings when you first get that prep first starts and you've been having those sweet treats or those late night snacks and stuff like that. It's hard to kick for the first month. But once you get past that first month and just ignoring it and saying no, it gets easier. By the end of it, you're in the most, bland diet, and you're doing it because I have a place to be. I got a stage to step on. I'm not doing this because, I'm going to go get on the beach. Beach body lean is like halfway through prep. The rest of the prep where you're getting lean, you got to really, like you said, lean into it. That's where it's the same meals every day, no matter what. I eat same breakfast, same lunch, same 5 meals every day, 6 meals. It doesn't matter how many meals you have. It's the same ones. It never fails. But it's also, we do that because I don't have to think about it. I don't have to count the different macros of different foods in every week's different meals. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Like, I eat the same exact thing. So every week it's the exact same routine. I go to sleep the exact same time. I train every day the same time. Like, you just got to lean into that and deal with it. Suck it up. You sign up and get after it.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think, and going into like the routine, the monotonous of that like final stretch of prep, when you have like the prep brain and the brain fog, like you just want to keep things as simple as possible. I think a lot of first time competitors, like you said, try to make foods like highly palatable and all this enjoyment, and it just adds like stress as you get further in, and your brain just can't comprehend things the same way. It's like, all right, what is satiating for me? Like, what's getting the job done, aiding performance, recovery as best as possible, and like keeping things running as smoothly as possible. I think your first time competing, like you take things like so super, super serious, and you try to like hack your way through all these different components of prep. But it's like, the more you do it, the more you realize, like, all right, I just need to find what works, trust the process, and understand that it's a long, slow process. It's a long game, and getting to stage conditioning just requires you to stick to your processes and ride it out consistently. It's not about like one massive week of progression. It's just seeing the consistency more long term and just buying into that whole process of going through prep.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember, I think it was probably like my second prep or something, and I would get a refeed. And you know, I love Cheerios. We all love Cheerios. Bodybuilders just love Cheerios. That's something about it. And I remember I would have just the regular Cheerios, and then I would have a box of like the chocolate Cheerios. And with the chocolate Cheerios, you get less volume. You know, there's more calories for the same amount. And so it was always weighing up the decision of, okay, do I want more volume or do I want the flavor? And either one, I was disappointed, right? Like the chocolate ones, I was like, when I finished it, I was like, man, that was a waste because I would have had another couple of spoonfuls of regular ones.
Yeah.
Regular ones, I was like, I want the flavor of the chocolate ones. Now I'm just gonna have more potatoes or more rice. More of the same things that I'm already eating, so I don't even have to worry about those decisions. You know?
Yeah.
No, leave the decision making out of it. It's less decisions you have to make, the better that prep stress is going to stay down. The better prep's going to go in general. That's 100% true.
Final question for you, JT. What was your celebratory meal when you won your pro card?
Oh man, dude, I ate everything. I mean,
it's like a death row meal, right? It's like it's your final meal on this earth.
I know. God. There was this one I got. The beginning of prep went great, and then towards the end of prep, just all those meals started popping up on my reels, and I was like, "Golly, here it goes again." So I scrolled past and stopped at this guy made a banana pudding is my weakness. 100% my weakness. I can't be around banana pudding and not have at least a bite of it. Dieting or not, like I have to stay away from it completely. Well, he made it with Nutter Butters, and that was like one thing I looked forward to was that, and then Buckeye brownies, of course, popped up on my feed in Instagram. I was like, yep, I spent $100 on freaking brownies, dude. $100 on brownies just to have some brownies, and I they were good. Don't get me wrong. I 100% support Buckeye. I'm not affiliated, and I'm not supporting Buckeye brownies. I'm not trying to sell it, guys. But that was my like post show. It was sitting in my cooler backstage, and then I kind of just had everything that I wanted. We went to Takara that night, sushi and hibachi. That was the meal. So I had brownies. Takara, I had sushi and hibachi, and then when I got home, I made homemade banana pudding.
I like it.
So,
I think a good steak and some sushi, like post show, like you can't beat it.
Well, we went to a Brazilian steakhouse after us. It was magical. Keep coming. And I think we ate them out.
Well, Amelie's Bakery.
The guys like stopped coming to our table.
Shout out.
More.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we were of the mindset that like, look, if we're gonna binge a little bit, it might as well be protein, right? Which probably wasn't great for the gut, but
no, I don't think any of it is. I think all of it's going to ruin your gut, honestly.
We probably consumed 400 grams of protein, probably 500 grams of fat. And then the Amelie, so we probably have to
I regret not one bar.
Nope, I don't regret any of it. I did have that steak. Nate allowed me to have a steak after the Tampa show, and that steak was good.
It was a whole.
I don't know, some like Jeffries or something, or I don't know, a guy's name.
Some of the biggest steaks I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's huge.
When it's got a name like Jeffries, it's going to be class, don't you? It's like I don't know. It's when it's got somebody's name attached to it, you're like,
yeah.
Oh, it was like straight out of the '80s, old school diner. So good. Yeah.
I researched it the whole day before. Like I was searching all the places. He said I could have.
I get like decision anxiety. I think me and Nick shared a hotel room the night of the Orton Cup, and we could not decide like where we were going to go.
We were like, it was like absurd. We rarely argue, but it was like I want to go here. I want to go here. I can't decide.
Yeah, no. and then the place that we actually wanted to go to ended up not being able to seat us for about 3 hours after the show.
Oh.
So there was no point even thinking about the decision. And then we ended up at the Brazilian steakhouse.
It was meant to be.
I don't want to talk about it.
Steakhouse was freaking bad.
Bring me food now.
I regret the decision.
Well, JT, you've been awesome, man. I really look forward to seeing this off season for you, and then whenever you make your pro debut, seeing the improvements that you've made.
Heck yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show, man. If you have any last thoughts you want to share with the audience, any words of wisdom?
Hey, I appreciate y'all having me on the show. I loved it. I love talking about bodybuilding. I don't have any really last thoughts, dude. And I think that was a great show. Talked a lot about the good bodybuilding side of things and the bad. So, yeah, I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next pro stage. And hopefully one day we all compete and get on the same stage, maybe. I don't know. Maybe stars aligned.
Let's run it.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother. Super proud of you for everything you've done in your career in the fitness industry and what you've done with bodybuilding recently. So thanks again for jumping on with us, and we'll talk to you soon, brother.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys. Peace.
Yep. Thanks again.